All right, guys, welcome back to Vertcoin Talk, episode 3. Sorry for the delay this morning. We ended up streaming to a wrong stream, but we got everything squared away now. So we just wanted to welcome everybody here to Vertcoin Talk, episode 3. Today we're going to be talking about merchant adoption. We're going to be talking about some other news that is happening this week and in the last few weeks here with Vertcoin. Today I am joined by one member of the marketing team with Ben. And we got two members of the dev team. So we have the newest member of the dev team, Crypto Plankton. You've heard him here on previous episodes. And then we also have Eric from the Vertcoin development team who handles a lot of the social outreach and things of that nature. So they'll all be joining me here today to talk about merchant adoption and other good things that are happening here in Vertcoin. So I wanted to lead off today's discussion talking about what happened yesterday when I got to take the day off from work. I went to the local golf course and I tried to talk to them about accepting Vertcoin as payment for going out and playing golf. One of their biggest concerns was how to accept this payment and how easy it's going to be, because they're not interested in if it's going to be difficult, they don't even want to really introduce it, because most of the people who are going to golf courses and stuff like that are older people who really aren't necessarily into crypto or really technical when it comes to computers and things of that nature. So they're looking for an easy, fast solution if it's to be a viable form of payment. So one of the other major things that I figured out is you really need to have a relationship with these merchants before you even start talking to them about crypto, because if you're just some random person who just showed up for the first time, they're not really going to take you seriously. So one of the major things that I want to drill into people is you want to develop this relationship with the merchant first before you even bring up cryptocurrencies in general. That was kind of my experience yesterday. What are your guys' take on merchant adoption and things that we need to do moving forward to be able to allow this to take hold inside of the retail space?
It's really great to see what we've seen so far. We've got a lot of third-party services popping up, and that's great. It's increasing the amount of people that can have easy access to spending their cryptocurrency, and it's great because we're seeing more and more people use cryptocurrencies and not just have them sitting on the exchange. And for a long time, we have just seen people use them as a form of just stocks in general. And it's great to see people using a payment processor and being able to pay for things using cryptocurrency. The problem with these is we've had these third-party solutions imply that you give your private keys and give you the control of your cryptocurrency to a third party. And for a lot of people, they don't really know what sort of original vision was, like and they may not even care at this stage. So you've got people giving away their private keys to someone else, and they aren't able to own their own cryptocurrency. They're not fulfilling that be your own bank mentality. And what we really want to see is people being able to use a native solution. It's something that enables them to be their own bank and spend cryptocurrency at the same time. And we're 10 years down the track at this stage, and we're still not, we still don't see those native cryptocurrency solutions. So it just shows how much of a hard task it is actually to make a solution that goes from merchants to individual and build something that actually works at scale and is simple to use for the user.
Yeah. So to add on, can you guys hear me? Okay, yeah. So to add on to that, one of the biggest things is that with the UX, right? With UX, it is very difficult for a lot of people to just really understand what's going on in this space. So when you make it difficult for them, it is they will likely not try to adopt it. But what the tantalizing thing about these cryptocurrencies is the fact that the low fee structure, right? With these credit card companies and small businesses, right? A lot of these credit card companies are very rent seeking. Like they have huge fees. The average amount that they credit cards take from a small business a month is like $300 to $400 or something like that. And that could actually break a business, because they have to realize, okay, wait, should I accept credit cards? should I increase prices so to account for the fee for their credit cards? And obviously, like, the merchants feel it. The big problem with mainstream adoption is actually getting the consumer to feel it, because the consumer, right, they pay with the credit card and they may pay it back automatically and they don't really notice anything. But the only way they notice something is when they pay and they don't pay fully at the end of the month or whatever the structure is, and then they get hit with like interest rates, APR, whatever the case. But even then, it's very seamless and people really don't notice what's going on in the background. So UX is like one of the biggest key factors in trying to get this mainstream for adoption.
Yeah, and we largely see that with third-party processors. The third-party processors have much better user experience than native solutions these days, and people will naturally be attracted to solutions like this because they're easier to use. They're able to use all their cryptocurrencies and they're able to spend them, and they won't necessarily be aware of the implications or the benefits of using a system that they have full control of. And so it's our job really to create something that's really easy to use and allows them to have control of their funds at the same time. And that's something that really doesn't currently exist in a fully scalable solution at the moment. And then that's really what our dream is, or what our goal is to actually create.
And something else that we saw with merchant adoption, we saw that news break over, was it last night or the day before, about WikiLeaks. Coinbase is no longer allowing them to be able to accept payments and things of that nature. And we had Jameson Lope, he had said, there's no need to be upset. You're using Bitcoin incorrectly by handling control over to a third party. Now take your medicine and set up, BTC Pay server post haste, or, he's basically suggesting that, don't worry about Coinbase, don't worry about third parties. You need to work towards being your own bank, essentially. And, I think this really hits on one of our core messages and the stuff that we're trying to deliver, and what we're talking about here with, merchant adoption is it's got to be easy, but we also don't want to make it so easy that we're recreating banks, right?
Well, that's the trap. I think there's a lot of people who, there are some people who see some forms of cryptocurrency who are centralized, and they recognize that. But there are certain traps, even with the Lightning Network, where I think we briefly touched on this. We won't touch on it too long, but where certain implementations and certain ways the Lightning Network could be built could actually be very similar to the banking system that we have today. And that's something we really don't want to have happen. We don't want to have a system where we realize we've just recreated the banking system. That's really not what we want.
Yeah, I think one of the major things that we're going to be pushing for in the coming months is going to be, you guys have heard us talk about it before, the lit box, and building out that payment solution so that users don't have to deal with this third party and essentially, cut yourself off with any sort of third party limiting you to be able to enable your transactions.
Yeah, exactly, and that's we really want. Again, it's all about control of your own. That really comes back to our education factor, and that's, I think we've recently started up a Vertcoin Academy, which we're trying to work on now. So Vertcoin Academy, which is something so basically a docs implementation for Vertcoin, which enables you to educate yourself about these types of systems, and being able to learn more about the different sorts of implementations there are, and really make the best decision for yourself.
Yeah, so I mean, let's segue into that. I mean, one of the things that we wanted to talk about with this is the Vertcoin Academy, that we're trying to open up an educational space for blockchain, and Ben's kind of heading this up. So Ben, if you want to talk about that a little bit and see kind of where that takes us in this discussion.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the big things, and we've discussed it already, like this is like multiple times, and we're gonna say it again, is that in this space there is a dearth of quality content. People, there's a lot of just speculative writing, like saying, oh yeah, this specific token does this, it's going to be the next Bitcoin, whatever the case may be, and that is not something that's conducive to helping educate people about the why cryptocurrency originally exists. Yes, there are people going to be implementing stocks 2.0, we know that, but we stick to the original vision, and the original vision is the decentralized payments. And I think John Oliver said it best in his show, late night tomorrow or something like that. I totally forgot. last week tonight. And he said that cryptocurrency combines what you don't understand about money and what you don't understand about computers, and it's just this big monstrous thing. And what I wanted to do with Vertcoin Academy is that we have currently docs right now that we can populate, but I want to transform that into something bigger, into an academy of sorts, where you can see what is, for example, from the beginning, what is blockchain, and then discuss that, and then for example with Lightning Network or our specific implementation Lit, and describe how that works, and kind of go through the masses, especially also what we can write about is something about how money currently works, because again, people still don't understand that. Credit cards have been out since the 20s, the idea has been out since the 20s, and only in the 1950s, when Diners Club was starting to be fully implemented as a credit card, people probably still don't understand that about money right now. So I'm going to be doing a redesign of the docs. We'll still have the current docs on for the time being, obviously, so that people, once we put more content on that, people can refer back to it. But I'm going to redesign it such that it'll be, we have the doc system where, you want the quick, maybe developer docs, or, some quick understanding. And then we have Vertcoin Academy, where it's going to be similar to, kind of my vision for it is similar to what you would find at whatever those online education sites like Udacity or whatever, Udemy, EDX, and it's all going to be open source. Of course, we're not going to charge anything for it. So that's kind of my vision for that.
Yeah, and you're also heading up the university outreach as well. This all kind of ties together and kind of bringing that education to people, because right now crypto is still a very new space. It's a very amateur space when it comes to general population understanding the underlying technology and things of that nature. And our goal is to educate people, to get them informed so that they can help inform others, because at the end of the day, education is it's one of the main priorities of this space right now, is getting educated and understanding exactly what we're dealing with.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, anybody else have any other comments on as far as education goes, importance of it, things that we need to touch on as far as the academy? No? All right. Well, let's move right into some other news. So Eric has some news regarding the iOS wallet and our interactions with Apple over the last 2 months or so.
It's been since, let's see, January 24th. Well, at the start, 2017, we submitted the wallet through, I think it was Gert. I know I'm butchering his name, but they said no because we weren't a legit whatever LLC. So we went ahead and set up that. We paid for that. We got a DUNS number, it's called, they wanted. So far since then, it's been 3 straight rejections. So the first one, they asked for our market cap and all the stuff like that, they were going to list us, and then they rejected us. Here, the second rejection was because of design. That it's totally different design. And then our latest one was, let's see, because they don't accept now. So that On the phone, he said they only let, I think it listed Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Dogecoin way to get like a new coin on their store thing to see if your coin will be on there. It doesn't exist. So we're not going to be like pursuing them anymore. I keep seeing if somebody knows someone and we can get on there, but there's no way. I mean, we've been rejected since 2014, like late 2014.
Yeah, I mean, and
Yeah.
it seems to be that every time that we go back and forth with this, that there is a completely different excuse. There's not a lot of communication. They've told us that they don't accept cryptocurrencies when it comes to wallets and things of that nature, and that we clearly show in the rules and things of that nature that it's fine. And other examples, and then they said that we weren't we were a clone of another open source wallet, so they wouldn't allow that. And now they're saying anything Vertcoin related, they're just not even going to allow on their platform, which is completely ridiculous. And I mean, we've been fighting with Apple to try and get us on their platform.
Yeah, I tried to set up like a phone call, and finally they let me speak to them on the phone. Like that was 2 weeks ago, so that took that long, and it was just like the guy reading like a piece of paper, like something like like scripted. Like, yeah, we don't accept like any coins that aren't like accepted onto the store. Asking like, how do we get accepted? Well, like there isn't a way that you can really. So it was pointless talking to the guy. Basically, he just read off a piece of paper and said that they can't help us.
Yeah, and I mean, this is more of a problem when it comes to the iOS wallet was a temporary solution. It was kind of like an intermediate solution for getting a wallet on iOS. But the real problem I foresee is Lit Wallet. So the wallet that we're doing down the road that is Lit enabled, multi-coin, all other stuff, will this fall under the same, I guess, hurdles that the iOS wallet fell under?
It might not, because we're gonna have a Bitcoin in it. So they accept Bitcoin. So if we get it to accept it at first and then we add Vertcoin, it might work. And they might just drop us from the store after that, like altogether. So people should just not use like the iPhones, I guess. It's come down to that right now. So just don't freaking use an iPhone.
Yeah, and I mean, unfortunately, iPhone has a large market cap and a cult-like following. I'm no Apple fanboy at all. I'm definitely an iOS or an Android fan. But yeah, this sort of gatekeeping when it comes to applications is something that we're trying to get past. And I mean, we're doing everything in our power outside of hiring lawyers and things of that nature to comply with what they want from us. But they're still giving us, they're giving us crap. They're not giving us solid answers. They're not giving us proper feedback so that we can address things in order to be able to get this tool out to you guys so that you can have a wallet on your iPhone. So in the short term, our solution is for, everybody to switch over to Android, because obviously that's not going to be a problem. Android is much more of an open platform when it comes to applications. I mean, we're still going to try and work with Apple, especially on the Lit wallet. We have some things that we may be able to do a Bitcoin, and since that follows the rules, although when we get to that road, they may change their position and not accept it because there's already a Bitcoin wallet. But we're going to try these different avenues in order to be able to get these products on iOS, but currently we can't necessarily endorse iPhone as a platform that is necessarily friendly to Vertcoin.
I think
right now, if you want to use it, you could use the what is that? The Konami wallet will work right now. I think it's out of beta or whatever it was, so that should work right now. But yeah, for long term, it's kind of a we don't know what's going to happen.
It's very interesting, the whole dynamic, and from what I first thought was that Apple was just being cautious, and they don't really know sort of how to proceed at this stage in terms of how to accept cryptocurrencies. But it's very strange, like how they accept things like Koinomi, which is a multi-coin wallets that just holds various amounts of various cryptocurrencies, and then others get completely rejected. But in terms of the lit wallet, the lit wallet itself doesn't actually hold any cryptocurrency, so it's actually just a remote. So the lit box itself actually holds all the cryptocurrency. So I guess that's another way we can put it to them.
Yeah, but I mean, do you think they're going to even really put the time and effort to understand that the wallet itself doesn't hold any of the currency, that it's just a remote? I feel like all of the feedback that we got from Apple during the process of the iOS wallet was very dismissive, and it's not like they really even took it seriously. And it wouldn't surprise me if the majority of that stuff was automated, you know?
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up, because it's automated. That's pretty much the entire thing. It is, they don't have, like, people try to submit applications all the time. We know, like, you could go into the depths of the App Store and find some really weird applications, whatever. And of course, they don't have the manpower to be able to just look at everything, review and everything. So they come up with general guidelines, especially in the cryptocurrency space now, where it's getting a lot of government, eyes and stuff like that. So they automate that process, and then when you finally get to them, finally talk to a human being, they're going to give you a scripted answer like what they gave Eric, and frustrate you because they're not answering your questions.
Well, hopefully that process actually improves as cryptocurrency becomes more and more accepted. But it is strange, because I know there was a case where a scam Ethereum app actually got to number 2 on the I think it was the free downloaded apps, and it was a scam wallet. So anything you actually deposited into the wallet was instantly gone. So I don't know how something like that gets past. But maybe they've got burned and they've tried to set up this process internally, and that's why finding it harder. It could be the reason, might not be, but that's the experience we've had currently.
I think one of the biggest things also they want to look at is, obviously they accept Bitcoin, right? That's the network, that's the name brand, right? Litecoin's another one with a name brand. As we continue onto the works and get more popular, I guess, so to speak, they're probably going to revert back and probably have amnesia about the pain that they gave Eric. We're like, oh yeah, you're a great currency, whatever, and they will get accepted. I feel like that's kind of what's going to happen in the future.
Though we had some comments here on the YouTube feed saying, that we need to hire someone to have a professional service with Apple, or I guess spend money with them in order to be able to get past some of these roadblocks. And one of the things that we look at whenever we're spending any of the money. Remember, guys, all of our funds on the development side, the marketing side, everything is all donated from the community. So we're very particular about how we spend those funds, because we want to get a good return on the investment, and we also want to make sure that we're not just throwing money out the window. One of the benefits that these ICOs and these other coins that did a big pre-mine and all this other stuff they have is they can frivolously spend money, and if it ends up being a wash, or it's nothing comes of it, oh well, it's not that big a deal. But here we're dealing with a intermediate wallet that was designed to kind of hold us over until the lit wallet becomes available with the multi-coin exchange. And so we didn't want to put any real money behind as far as paying them or what have you to get the wallet on there. If we're going to do anything like that, it's going to be something with like the lit wallet, which is more of a permanent mainstay, a wallet on the iOS platform.
So we raised, I think at the start, it was 4,000 Vertcoins for the wallet, and we had a guy that was going to do it, but then we decided, just to go with the lit wallet. So yeah, like you were saying, this is just supposed to be like something we get on there, pretty quickly, so people could use it, but it didn't end up, going that way. So
yeah, and at the end of the day, unless I guess if you're Coinbase and you got millions of dollars, you can throw millions of dollars at Apple and get whatever you want. But we are working on a limited budget. We are working on donated funds, so we want to be responsible with it. We don't want to just throw money after bad. So unfortunately, right now, the current status of the iOS wallet is it's built, it's ready to go, it's gorgeous. Apple just will not allow it on their platform. So I guess look for some updates in the coming months to see if we kind of roll some of that design into Lit Wallet, or what we end up doing with that. But unfortunately, right now the current status of the iOS wallet is it's being held back by Apple. And we're going to continue to talk to them. We're going to continue to keep that lines of communication open, and hopefully they'll change their mind and they'll allow us to put that platform or that wallet onto the iOS platform, and you guys can use it on your iPhones. So that's about all we had for this week's Vertcoin talk. And we'd love to take your questions. If you guys have any questions, if you want to post them here on the YouTube channel, or if you're in Discord, if you want to post them in the questions channel, which is right above the answers channel that we're in right now under the Vertcoin Talk tab. Go ahead and post your questions in there, and we can start taking some of your questions. So we'll just give you a second to put those in there. So if you guys see any questions that you're interested in taking on, go ahead and start reading those off. So we had a question here regarding the new Lightning wallet and will it be okay for iOS. So right now we're assuming that it will, because it will have Bitcoin in it. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Dogecoin, those are kind of, and this is the problem, is that Apple is not being very specific in their reasoning for denying our iOS wallet. At first they said that we weren't a legit business, so we got an LLC, even though we have the foundation that we're in the process of setting up. That's going to be our main legal entity, not this LLC, but we tried to comply with Apple. So really, once the iOS or the Lit wallet gets built for iOS, we'll submit it and we'll see what happens or what they feed back to us, and then we will continue to make adjustments and do our best to try and get that onto the iOS platform. So we had Jordan in the Discord ask about Litbox and if we have any third-party manufacturing interest yet. So far, we're currently still working on finishing up the software side of it. We do have some internal design renderings. Luckily, our marketing team, we have a lot of diverse talent on our team. So one of our guys is actually really good at CAD and being able to model these boxes and stuff like that around the hardware that we're looking to run the software on. So we have some internal renderings and things of that nature. So we don't have any third-party manufacturing interest yet because we haven't gotten to that step. But we're hoping to have a actual physical box that we can demo by the end of the second quarter. I know that's what James had as far as the timeline. So keep looking out for news on that in the coming months.
Yeah, I was stuck in here. Also, for the actual delivery of the lit box, there's 3 avenues of distribution. So people are really, at this stage, quite focused on the box itself. Lit box, you can actually even make your own lit box. So I'll just go over the 3 ways you can actually get one. So the first way would be we'd be selling a version of a lit box. There wouldn't be too many of them. I guess there'd be it would have the Vertcoin name on it, and you can actually just order that one. The second one would be third parties make their own. So we want to encourage people. We obviously can't distribute these to the world. It would be impractical to think we can set up an operation where we can send thousands and thousands of lit boxes all over the world. Like realistically, we want businesses to take an interest into making a lit box. So the software itself is open source. You could open source the CAD designs. You want people to make their own. They can even sell it. So they can sell it locally. Your third option is get a Raspberry Pi and download the software and run one yourself, and make your own custom box. You can really make it whatever you want. So it's not about us really contacting manufacturers to really produce this for us. It's really a collab. You can make one yourself. You can buy one for us. You can other people might be interested in making them and selling them. So really, there are lots of different avenues for distribution.
We had another question. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say that, like, you know, with it, since it's open source, of course, we with Vertcoin Academy, we're gonna obviously help provide like an understanding of how to create your own or how to like run your own and all that stuff. So that'll be fun. You know, it'll be very cool for people to see what people actually like, you know, make. And in addition, we've Jern actually answered this in the Discord channel, but I'm gonna explain this to the rest of the people. Is that, you know, Jern has a concept box that's been 3D printed, a special edition aluminum box. So that's one thing that, you know, you could probably look forward to in the future in terms of, you know, something that's created by us or, you know, with that. So
yeah, no, there's obviously those designs will be eventually open source. So if someone goes down to their local business that has a 3D printer or something, usually any office type supplies place has a 3D printer. You could print your own box, just a plastic version of it. So you don't have to. But again, the box isn't the main thing; it's the software. So you get the box, you get a box, anything. You can make it look like whatever you want, to be perfectly honest. And then you download the software, and then there you have your lit box. So again, it's not about a central distribution. And also, central distribution is not really after. Say, for example, someone said to us, sorry, you can't ship to this particular country. Well, then we'd be screwed. And you couldn't get lit boxes out there. So the whole point of it is you can go to your local store and buy one and download stuff off the internet. So in that way, the distribution is unstoppable.
Yeah, and guys, remember our end goal with Litbox is we want everybody to have one. Now, while these special editions and things of that nature, those are really going to be used to help bring some revenue into the foundation so that we can bring on full-time developers and things of that nature. We want to also make it so that anybody who is passionate about cryptocurrencies, anybody who is passionate about, you know, tinkering with things and things of that nature, they can download the software, download the plans to be able to build it themselves. We want to make it kind of as user-friendly as possible as well on that front. One of the other questions we had is how far out approximately is, for Lit Wallet. So Plankton, I'll let you speak to kind of, you know, we don't give timelines because things will pop up. We have other, you know, we're also depending on the Lit network as well to be at a certain point to where we can enable that wallet. But Plankton, I'll let you talk about timeline, you know, where we are in the development and things of that nature.
Yeah, sure. So initially, James mentioned in his talk at the MIT Bitcoin conference that we would be looking for some type of workable sort of demo product. He wanted to produce at I think it was a talk by the end of Q2, and this is no means a workable sort of production ready product. It's really a demo to show people at that conference and really get them interested. Lit is by no means ready for the masses, but we have recently, I think Gert was recently contracted by MIT to do some work for them. So be really interesting to see how Lit actually progresses, because Litbox is obviously based on Lit, so we need Lit to be able to handle production ready traffic, I guess. And it's also the features as well. Like we don't want to release something baked. It has to be able to. What we really want is something that does support Bitcoin, Litecoin, Vertcoin in a Lightning Network environment. We want people to be able to use a Lightning Network, a true Lightning Network environment where you can pay people using multi-hop and the rest. So not just sort of some, I guess, alpha product where it's look, it works, because ultimately there are a lot of currently, and I'm a bit upset about this, is there are a lot of apps out there that claim that they are in beta for Lightning, and I don't think that's really acceptable, because these apps are like, you can go on them, you can use mainnet Bitcoin, and you can lose your Bitcoin quite easily due to just random bugs in your channel by corrupting your channel state, a few other different things, and it's I don't know, it's just kind of worrying. I don't think people should be calling these products beta when they're really sort of truly alpha. This is people's money we're dealing with. It's something that really needs to be stable. So in terms of lit being finished, or lit being in an acceptable form, I think that would be towards the end of the year.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think, and that's something that everybody needs to, people have talked about, why aren't you pushing out things quicker? Why aren't, there's a reason why we look at quality over quantity. So we're not putting out a lot of things. We're not putting out things really quickly because we want to make sure that things are right when we put it out. The last thing that we want is to put out a piece of software or a solution and not, have it break on you or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to bring this up one more time just for people to like really understand. I understand there's some people that get impatient. I get that. Everybody wants the like new thing. Everybody wants to see things. But the thing is, in this space, there's very little room for error. Now we're playing with money. Like we're changing how money works. And we don't want anything to happen. I mean, we saw what happened with the Verge coin, where, they had that little bug that was exploited to all hell. In the software engineering space, like I understand there's this like mantra of move fast and break things. We don't want to do that. We don't want to break things. We want to make sure we deliver the highest quality software and hardware, if we're in that, as possible, because we also are a small team, right? I'm a developer myself. I'm not the developer for a Vertcoin team, but I could tell you right now that, development is very difficult when you're trying to, make sure that you have security, you have quality, and like I do development, like, with the Vertcoin Academy and stuff like that, I will be developing it, but, I'm going to take a little bit of time for it because I don't want to, suddenly, deliver something and then, let's say, the like all the visuals break or something like that. I don't want to give that to you. I want to make sure that I give you something that it works well, and you don't have to like come to the Discord and then like try to put my head on a pike because I didn't develop correctly.
Yeah, and it's it is kind of a worry. Like you see these half-baked products come out, and we did kind of see that with the IOTA. I think there was that IOTA bug where it was someone lost a bunch of money. Like just I think it was a UX problem. Like they'd reused an address or something, and apparently that was supposed to be obvious, and they sent their money to a second address. Like it was such in early days where the UX and everything is just not acceptable. People shouldn't be able to lose money accidentally in a system. You shouldn't have to know things to make it work. But like Litbox itself as a concept and is entirely new. There is no one else that's developing something like this that has a multi-coin implementation on Lightning. So it's literally the first it's the first of its kind. So if we did sort of rush it out, it's not really, I don't know, if we had some implementation where it was multi-coin and you can use all these different coins for it, and then it turned out to sort of be a flop, or it just blew up. That wouldn't really reflect well on Lit and its derivatives, I guess, the derivative products like Litbox.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one more thing. Also, I guess to just because this question I think went by. I think Pepin stock footage from YouTube was asking about like side loading, and I want to bring that to light right now. Yes, there is a process called side loading to skirt the Apple bureaucracy. The problem with this is that it's unofficial. That's one. So it could be seen as vaporware, but that's a story for another time. But two, it's more the fact that it becomes it almost damages our image in a way, I believe, at least in my opinion. And because if we're just resorting to side loading, and especially that, when you have, let's say we like release updates and stuff like that, they're gonna have to do the process over and over again. The process is not seamless. Yes, I understand, like, a few instructions here and there, and then it's done, you got it. But when we release updates, and even the small ones, they're going to have to do the entire side loading process again. It becomes very cumbersome. I know currently Binance does something like that with their exchange. You have to side load it, but as soon as you forget to update, because you don't get updates, you don't get the notifications for updates. It's gonna, by the time you realize you need to update, you might be exchanging money and it breaks. And that's not something we want to do, because again, I'll point this out again, we're changing money, we're doing something with money. If we do something that's unofficial, that we can't release, like regular updates where people don't have to manually update, then people might end up losing money. There's a lot of things with side loading that that won't come with being official, and then of course that damages our image as well.
Yeah, that goes back to us wanting quality over quantity. The last thing we want is that people have to do this workaround, and if there's a security issue that we push out a release, a fix for, but it doesn't automatically upload onto somebody's phone, and then something happens to them, that's the issue we're trying to avoid. And we want to make sure that whatever we put out there is quality, and it updates automatically, and you don't have to go through any second avenues or a back alley in order to be able to get your stuff onto your phone. It would be easier if Apple would just allow us to be able to meet all of their criteria according to their rules and regulations, which we have, and then be able to get the iOS wallet onto their platform. But unfortunately, they're stonewalling us a little bit. One of the things I pulled up here on my screen, you can see that we have a question on merchant use case. Customer pays for dinner using Vertcoin. This is kind of the stuff that we were talking about earlier in merchant adoption. Is we gotta have an easy solution to allow for this to take place. And one of the things that helps us figure out the path that we want to go down as far as allowing Vertcoin to be a payment solution is we have to communicate with those merchants, figure out their needs, figure out their desires, figure out how to make the solution as easy as possible for them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been going over a lot of that with the UX development. So for the new wallets, that's largely where my line of work comes into it. It's coming through thinking of all the different scenarios that people go through in their day-to-day lives and creating an interface around that, and even down to the way currencies are listed in terms of what denominations they're listed in. Like, for example, one of the common problems is that cryptos are quite volatile, and you need to say, for example, Ben pays me $10, and then I go back and I check my history, and then do I list that as $10, or do I list that as, and say the value of Vertcoin has changed, and then I go, hey Ben, you didn't pay me $10, you paid me $9, something something. And that's really where you have to sort of nail all those things. There's how money works and how people think about it. You have to. There's a lot of those little issues and a lot of those sort of quirks and how people use money, and how I think people sort of expect things to work. And the more familiar you can make that process with them, the more happier they are to switch over from something else. Because otherwise, again, they don't like change. So it's really, if they see a parallel between your two systems, they'll be quite happy to sort of give it a try.
Yeah, and right now the best way to accept Vertcoin is coinpayments.net. That's a good e-commerce solution as far as being able to accept cryptocurrencies and stuff like that. But the main focus that we're trying to deal with is that point of sale with the merchant when you're standing in the store. That is what we're developing to be able to have Vertcoin be that payment solution. So if I mine 100 Vertcoin over the course of a month or what have you through my rigs, I want to be able to go to a store and buy a T-shirt. That's where we're targeting. One of the other questions that we had here in Discord was, do you think there's any unfair treatment of Vertcoin in comparison to centralized coins and apps by Apple? I don't know necessarily if there is any unfair treatment. I think look, Apple at the end of the day, a lot of their stuff is automated, yes, but they don't want to be burned by people getting scammed out of their currencies due to a bad app. So I understand the caution. I understand the rigorous, inspection of these apps, but I also do believe that if you have a ton of money, if you have a large presence such as Coinbase or something like that, the doors getting opened are much easier. There's a lot more doors to walk through. With us, because we're a smaller cap coin, we're all volunteer devs. We work off of donations. We don't have, big, we're not accepting millions of dollars to produce videos to announce kind of like what Verge did this week with, was it Pornhub or whatever. We're not in that space, so we don't have as many doors necessarily that allow us to walk through. I don't know if there's unfair treatment, but there is definitely a lack of opportunity on the Vertcoin side simply because we are not in the top 10 on CoinMarketCap or because we don't have millions and millions of dollars to throw at a particular problem.
I mean, at this point in time, as what you pointed out, Kanan, is the popularity in a way, because a lot like Verge, what is it, number 25 or something like that, and of course they have their very, very cult-like followers, and of course they have some obscene amount of money to be able to create partnerships. The biggest thing with us is that we don't do anything like the pre-mine. We don't do anything like ICOs and stuff like that. I mean, the number of ICOs coming out currently that there's like exit scams, I guess that's what they're called. There's an obscene number of them, and we want to distance ourselves from that. And right now, the only things is Bitcoin and Litecoin and some of the main payments. They have the network effects behind them. But as we develop throughout the year, as we develop going on, we will distance ourselves from all these other things and create our network effects with ourselves, and obviously through your support as well. People want to accept Vertcoin, put cryptocurrency, put it in their head about Vertcoin. A lot of the pain that we're experiencing right now, we're all in it together. And if you want to see in a few years from now that you get to go to your grocery store and buy your groceries with Vertcoin, then you have to stick with us with the community, help support the developers, help support the marketing team, so that we can build this future together.
Yeah, and we're looking for long-term solutions. We're solving problems. We're not trying to do a quick pump and dump or anything like that. We're here to really solve issues. And one of the things that people didn't even understand until James talked about it in his speech at the MIT Bitcoin Expo is that Lightning Network's great, but it only works if you're online 24/7. And unfortunately, people didn't really talk about that whenever the big beta release that was happening on the Bitcoin network. We're looking at the underlying issues and we're brainstorming what could go wrong and how do we fix it. And that's kind of where Vertcoin is from a development standpoint, and we're continuing to move down that road of problem solving. So we're here at about 50 minutes now that we've been streaming. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up this third episode of Vertcoin Talk. If you guys want to, if you have any topics that you want us to cover in our next episode, or if you have any questions, please come into our Discord. You can reach anybody on the marketing team or the dev team anytime. We're always in here, to answer questions. Definitely don't feel intimidated by talking to us. We're definitely, we're here for you guys, and we're always here to communicate. But I want to thank Eric and CryptoPlankton and Ben for being on today's episode. And this is Kanan, and we will see you guys in the next one.